Welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, April 2. So glad you could join us. The government gears up to impose its strongest measures yet to control the spread of the coronavirus. Effective tomorrow, Barbados will be under a 24-hour curfew, restricting movement across the island that has so far recorded 46 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Acting Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw made the announcement today, less than 24 hours after she declared tough restrictions.
The curfew is a 24-hour curfew unless there is a legitimate business which will require you to leave your home and to be on the road. You can only be on the road to go to the pharmacy, to seek medical assistance, or if you are part of any of the essential services, or if you are doing business with any of the businesses which are exempted under the order.
Bradshaw lamented that too many Barbadians have been congregating at various points across the island, forcing the COVID-19 Cabinet Subcommittee to meet with the owners of supermarkets, gas stations and other businesses to tackle the problem. She then announced a number of the stringent decisions that were taken.
As of 5 p.m. tomorrow, Friday the 3rd of April, all supermarkets and mini-marts shall remain closed until further notice. We are in discussions with the supermarket owners to see how we can engage in some form of electronic commerce, which would obviously allow persons to be able to fulfill grocery orders. And those discussions are continuing. Those who might not be able to use the e-commerce facilities, we intend obviously at some point to be able to have those deeper negotiations with them to see how we may be able to allow persons to get their groceries.
Well, the announcement triggered a flurry of activity across the island. Barbadians flocked to supermarkets, pharmacies, banks, and other places of business ahead of tomorrow's shutdown. There were long queues at almost every location, with some saying they could not afford to take any chances since the curfew will run until April 14. Meanwhile, work is continuing apace at the COVID-19 Quarantine and Isolation Center at Harrison Point, St. Lucie. When Barbados Today visited the location, teams were busy on the job adding finishing touches to the building. The site manager was unable to comment on the progress of the work, but earlier this month, Prime Minister Mia Mottley suggested the buildings will be completed early this month. In other news this Thursday, Bico Senior Supervisor, 44-year-old Harvey Kervin Martindale of number 40 Husbands Terrace, St. James, and 26-year-old casual worker Nathan Jordan Gooden of Bayfield, St. Philip, were granted $30,000 bail each when they appeared in the District A Magistrates Court this morning. The duo, jointly charged with conspiracy to traffic cannabis, was arrested last week after personnel from the Drug Squad, Customs Enforcement, and the Barbados Coast Guard seized 21 boxes labeled True Juice oranges being seized from a container during an operation at Bico Limited at the Bridgetown port. The 21 boxes contain a total of 110 tape packages of marijuana weighing 305.5 kilograms with an estimated street value of over $2 million Barbados dollars. Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks today ordered the two men to surrender their passports and report to a police station on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays by 11 a.m. They will return to court on September 7. Martindale, who was additionally charged with money laundering and the retention of United States currency after police seized Barbados $251,360 and US $8,797 in cash at his residence, will also appear in the Holtown Magistrates Court on July 17.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional developments, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, says its medical microbiology laboratory has been impacted by global shortages of reagents. CARPHA is now actively searching for supplies of reagents. The development was revealed during a virtual press conference on Wednesday by CARPHA Deputy Director and Infectious Disease Specialist, Dr. Lisa Indar. Nisa John Mohammed of TV6 News has more in this report.
A global and a national shortage of critical supplies needed to carry out COVID-19 testing threatens to hamstring the Caribbean's pandemic response. Researchers across the world are sending out waves of emails with urgent calls for reagents, the basic chemical compounds needed to test for the COVID-19 virus, by isolating and identifying its genetic identity. And today, the Caribbean Public Health Agency's Deputy Director and Infectious Disease Specialist, Dr. Lisa Indar, sounded the same alarm.
The CMML has been impacted by global shortages of reagents. However, our current reagent capacity is we have enough samples to take us, we have enough media to take us through the next 3 weeks, and we are actively looking for more media.
She noted that CARFA placed pre-orders for the agents in January, before there were any cases of the virus in the Caribbean. However, because of the global shortage, it is taking a while to get here.
CARFA has taken a very proactive role. Since this started in January, we would have done our pre-orders. It's just the time it's taken to get us because of this global shortage.
Dr. Indar said CARFA assumed that 1% of the Caribbean population would have been impacted by COVID-19, and as such, only catered for 20,000 tests.
So those 3 weeks kind of gives us the buffer. So meaning that, we're anticipating it. So the 3 weeks may be more than 3 weeks, but we are also actively looking for media and supplies, which we have the assurance that we are likely to receive.
On the international front, more than 1 million cases of coronavirus have been registered globally, according to the latest figures from the Johns Hopkins University. More than 51,000 people have died. Italy has the highest deaths, while the U.S. accounts for the most cases. As we hear in this report from Global News, the situation in America is likely to worsen.
They are lives cut short by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. James Goodrich, a renowned neurosurgeon who separated conjoined twins. 60-year-old Sharon Seiler, a California woman with no underlying health problems. 3 members of the Conkey family in Ohio. The grandmother of New Yorker Robert Lugar.
My grandmother died alone. She died alone. We didn't even get to say bye to her.
In hospitals across the U.S., they're preparing for many more grim days as doctors and nurses face tough decisions about who they're able to treat.
Well, nearly everybody coming to the emergency department has this, and we're getting completely overwhelmed.
It's predicted COVID-19 will kill at least 100,000 Americans in the coming months, with deaths and confirmed cases climbing rapidly by the day. That brutal reality has forced even the most reluctant to act. Florida's governor, who refused to break up the party over spring break, bowed to pressure and issued a stay-at-home order. There are already 7,000 cases in the state.
Even though there's a lot of places in Florida that have very low infection rates, it makes sense to make this move now.
New York took more drastic steps, closing overcrowded playgrounds after families refused to keep their distance.
Who else has to die for you to understand you have a responsibility in this?
Nearly 85% of Americans are under orders to only leave home for essential reasons. But for thousands of grieving families, it's simply too little, too late.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.